you just gave.
Right.
We're coming up on World War III. It sure looks that way. And with all the little wars going on constantly, where do you actually draw the starting point? You could say the starting point was 50 years ago because there have been conflict everywhere since then, and it's just about to get a whole lot worse, or it might anyway. Why is there war? Because soldiers do as they're told. That's the only reason, ever. In every world war, you had lots and lots and lots of people on both sides who really and truly believed that if authority tells them to go to the other side of the world and kill people, they should do it. It's what the Nazi soldiers believed. It's what the American soldiers believe. War doesn't happen without people believing in authority. You have the giant banks and the huge fraud going on there. In 1913, Congress got bribed into saying, okay, it's now legal and okay to commit massive fraud, which is what the Federal Reserve did.
True.
They couldn't have gotten away with it if, A, the supposed government and authority hadn't given their holy permission by way of legislation, and B, the people didn't imagine that made it legitimate. Now people trade in these little green pieces of paper. They have no idea how the system works. All they know is, well, it's legal. They're allowed to do that. If I do it, it's bad and horrible and counterfeiting. But for some reason, if the Federal Reserve does it, somehow it's okay because authority and the law and government say so. Another thing that simply could not happen without the belief in authority. I mean, imagine if you and I said, I know, let's print $1 gazillion of some new currency and see if we can trick people into using it. It wouldn't work. But if we had a big gang of thugs that people thought they had an obligation to obey, and they say, this is legal tender for all debts, public and private, you have to accept it, then we're in good shape. Then we can defraud the world. But only because the people believe in government and law and authority and a ruling class. And if you go down the list of all the nasty things going on, all of the large-scale oppressions, today or go back 10,000 years, every point in between, these large-scale disasters are always because of the forcible intervention of the state in society. And the only reason they get away with that is because the people think that if you legalize evil, it becomes good. People talk about, well, what if we get, if there wasn't a state, what if we get invaded by some foreign army? There is only one gang of thugs on the planet with the ability to dominate and extort the American people, and that is the United States government. And the reason they are the only gang that can do that is they're the only gang that have the victims imagining that they're allowed to, imagining that it's legitimate. If China tried to come over here and take us over and impose a 50% income tax, they would fail in a second because the people wouldn't imagine any obligation to go along with it. But if you call it the IRS and the income tax and you say Congress has passed this is the law of the land, then you have 100 million gun owners who don't lift a finger to resist because they've been duped into believing that it's legitimate for this gang to demand the fruits of their labor and cage them if they don't hand it over. The only threat to our freedom is the one that most people imagine has the right to take away our freedom, and that is our own government.
Yeah, and we see that today more than ever. I'm only 29, and I've seen interviews and people that will choose the side of government over their family, that will choose, and we see it now with the division, with all the things and chaos going on in our country. Sister and brother are turning against each other. Father and son are turning against each other, and it is because of the government, because they're taking sides.
Well,
government
no.
Over
That's like no. I don't think it's because of the government. The government's not making the.
They're not. No, they are not making the problem, but
because of the belief in it. Because of the belief in government. I mean, there's a fun mental exercise I like to put people through. If you look at, you take a bunch of liberals and a bunch of conservatives and you put them in a room and you ask the liberals, what do you believe in? Well, caring for the poor and being compassionate and tolerant and yada, yada, yada. Okay, conservatives, what do you believe in? Hard work and responsibility and the American dream, earning what you want. Okay, now, do either of you groups feel any particular need to violently intervene with what the other side just described? No, unless you believe in government. And then it creates a perpetual war where both sides are running to the state saying, force our values on the other side. And it's so tempting because the moment you accept the idea that government has the right to tax people and regulate people, that it's actually morally legitimate for them to do that, why not run to it and say, make people make the choices I think they should make? That's not civilized. There are lots and lots of people who make choices I think are stupid, but I realize I have no right by myself or by way of government to send armed thugs over there to make them do what I think they should do. Now, if they're attacking somebody, yes, force is justified to protect whoever they're attacking. Anything else, that's their business. But as long as people believe in government, they just can't wait to run to the state and say, yeah, can you make my neighbor be what I wish he was? Can you make him have the lifestyle I think he should have? Make him make the choices that I think he should make. And that creates perpetual war of everybody against everybody. Instead of just saying, look, I may not like you, I don't like your habits, I don't like your lifestyle, I don't like you personally, but hey, you're over there, I'm over here, we leave each other alone, fine. We can have peaceful coexistence. That works just fine. And I'm not saying everybody's opinion is equally valid or everybody's morals are equally valid or anything of the sort. I'm saying that if we at least understand how to peacefully coexist, you know, I may not like the guy, but I don't advocate that anybody go violently interfere with him, then we can at least have peace and prosperity and civilization, and then we can bicker over, you know, whether drinking beer is morally superior to smoking pot or something like that. But as long as people believe in government, they will always run to it to club their neighbor over the head to try to make him into what they wish he was.
So, Mr. Rose, in a paragraph or two, what's your answer? I mean, look, this is 2012. This is real life. This is not this is not a drill. This is not a test. You know, we've gone through 200 plus years of constitutional rule. Now we find ourselves where we're at right now. What's your answer?
The shortest I can make the answer goes like this. If you don't feel personally justified in doing something, don't ever ask anyone else to do it. And at first that sounds sort of irrelevant and obvious, and so what, except that rules out all government, all of it, every government that has ever existed on the planet anywhere. Because the moment people realize, if I shouldn't do something, I shouldn't vote for somebody else to do it, there goes all taxation, there goes all war, there goes 99% of so-called law, and the rest are just whatever is inherently legitimate, like defending yourself against an attacker. The problem, and this is a huge point that I'm constantly hammering on, the problem does not reside in Washington, D.C., or the puppet masters hiding wherever they're hiding. Yes, they're nasty people. Yes, they're trying to do evil things, but the only reason they accomplish anything is because of the billions and billions of people who hallucinate an obligation to obey government. What would happen with the warmongering if tomorrow everybody woke up and said, let's not use their currency and let's not give them money anymore?
Well, look, we use that same principle, saying stop subjecting yourself to the TSA violations of the Fourth Amendment. You know, and if everyone stopped tomorrow at the airports and said, look, we're not going to do this. We're not going to allow you to touch our child. We're not going to allow you to touch our grandma. We're not going to allow you to touch us. If everyone did that, well, I'll tell you what, things would change in a heartbeat. But
yeah.
You know what? Basically, that's a pipe dream. That's not reality.
And it's sad. But it's true. It is a pipe dream.
Well, of course not tomorrow, but the more people who do it, the harder time that tyrants have getting away with what they do. I mean, imagine, one example I use is imagine if the number of people who voted for Ron Paul, instead of doing that, instead of campaigning, instead of donating, instead of whatever else they did, they just said, you know, all I'm going to do is not do one thing. I'm not going to send the IRS a tax return this year.
Right.
There goes the income tax. If you get 3 or 4 million people to just openly say, I'm not playing their game anymore, you don't need legislation to repeal it. The people can repeal it. But because they believe in authority in government, they see their only recourse is to go to government and say, pretty please, Mr. Master Ruling Class, will you please tell me that I'm allowed to keep what I earn? instead of saying, I'm allowed to keep what I earn whether they say so or not. Again, if one person or 100 or 1,000 say that, they get stomped on and out come the jackboots and nasty things happen. But if you get even a few million people who are willing to just say, I'm not playing their game, I'm not going to help them rob me, I'm not going to obey them when they give me their arbitrary garbage, that goes a long way to making an empire fall over. And you don't need a revolution even, or an election or anything of the sort. If you just get 5-10 million people to just say, we're not playing your game, we're not giving you our money, we're not filing returns, we're not obeying your laws, we're not flying on your planes, whatever, it doesn't take a majority or even a significant minority to bring an empire to its knees. But the only people who can do that are those who have escaped the authoritarian indoctrination that says, as long as it's the law, you must obey. And that is what has to go. And when that starts to go, as we've seen in other empires, when the people stop feeling an obligation to pay tribute to whatever giant gang of control freaks is stomping on them, when that feeling of obligation goes, the empire goes. Then it's just a matter of time. And I think we're already starting to see that in this country, where more and more people say, you know, I might pay because I'm scared of getting caught, but if I could get away with it, yeah, I'll get away with it. I don't feel any obligation to give these crooks a dime. I mean, give me a break. They give away $16 trillion to a bunch of banks.
Yeah, fun.
While I'm working my butt off. Why should I pay for that? Forget it. If 10 million people say forget it, even if they don't have any philosophy behind it, that's the end of the empire. And I like them to actually understand why they have no obligation. But ultimately, when the people say, we're not playing your game anymore, that's when tyranny ends, and that's the only time it ever ends.
Well, in that, I think we can find agreement, all right? But, I mean, when we talk about reality here, I don't believe at this point the reality of the situation is that at this point, with 47% of America on some sort of handout and 87, the highest number of 8.7 million people on disability.
Yeah, 46 million or so on food stamps.
Yeah, look, we're in some serious trouble here.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep.
Okay, so now that said, okay, I'm still not convinced, and we can agree to disagree at this point. I'll respect your opinion on the Constitution. I just think that really, I mean, your idea of a utopian society is kind of a fairy tale approach. Okay, now that's not that I don't mean to be condescending or sounding even condescending. I mean, I just don't think it's realistic.
Well, let me ask you this. Let's look at the IRS. 100,000 people that rob a couple hundred million people every year of trillions of dollars.
Right.
Why are they there?
Because we allow them to be there.
Why do we allow them to be there?
Because no one said, okay, but what do you mean why? Well, because
the Constitution says Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes. Okay. That line is the only reason 200 million people put up with this extortionist BS, because the Constitution said Congress can tax you.
But on the other hand, okay, now look, we were set up as a constitutional representative republic. Taxes, yes, but the intent, obviously, was, look, don't we benefit by services provided by the taxes, or shouldn't we? Wasn't that the plan? Streets, roads, defense.
Except they stepped over that line that said, like, it's one thing to say, if you give me this money, I'll give you this service. Right. They stepped over the line and said, we'll tell you how much you're going to give us, and we'll tell you what services we give you. That's when it turns into authoritarianism, and it's not a free society anymore. And that tiny little seed, even though it was supposed to be very limited, there wasn't supposed to be an income tax, it was supposed to be a few little excises here and there, but that little seed is why we have the Internal Revenue Service. And that's what they will point to. Hey, the Constitution says we can tax, so hand it over or go to prison. Without that seed of authoritarianism, there wouldn't be an IRS. The Constitution is why there is an IRS, even with all the rules they had to break and all the things they had to lie and cheat about. It's still the only reason there is an IRS.
But still, okay, now
See,
I understand that too.
But you see, you look at the history of the United States, and before the IRS was ever an agency, before the Federal Reserve was implemented, our government had the ability to, build Washington, build their cities, build their buildings without and defend, without taking vast sums of money from hardworking individuals.
Okay, which is fine, but that's not where we're at today. I guess. Yeah.
Where we're at today is a cabal of international bankers has taken over the world pretty much and are driving us towards a one world currency.
Right.
But they did it by way of our belief in government. They had it legislated to say it was okay, and we believed it because it was legislated by the very body that the Constitution pretended to give power to.
Okay, but you say you believe in this what is it here, voluntarism or whatever. I'm not even sure that's a word, but that said,
it's a made up word. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, again, you're. This is the utopia, a fictitious utopia.
It's not. It's not. It comes down to this: would you rob me personally?
Of course not.
Would you vote for somebody else to do it?
No, of course not.
Have you ever voted?
Well, yeah.
And did that person or his party have a tax policy that included demanding my money?
Okay. Yeah, I see where you're...
It isn't utopian. It's just a matter of being morally consistent. Everybody I know is advocate that I be robbed. I don't really think that's good for society.
Mr. Rose, if you don't mind me asking... do you have a religious belief? Are you?
Well, I mean, yeah, there's got to be some underlying, and the reason Joe's asking this is there's got to be some underlying moral compass to which you answer to. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I was raised Christian. I'm not Christian anymore. I was raised conservative and constitutionalist, and obviously I'm not that anymore either.
Let me guess, you're an atheist and a well, let's see, what would it be? An atheist and a voluntarist.
Voluntarist. I don't use the term atheist just because most people who do seem to think that we're just machines or animals or something. I don't believe that. When people ask me if I believe in a God, I usually say, you don't even want the answer because it'll take an hour to answer. I don't believe we're just robots and machines or animals. I think we're something a lot more, but I don't believe any religion I've ever heard actually describes what we really are. So I don't use the term atheist, and I hardly ever get into my religious beliefs. But my moral beliefs haven't changed from between when I was a Christian and now.
Right.
It basically hinges around the basic concept that every individual owns himself. The reason murder is wrong, the reason theft is wrong, the reason assault is wrong is because you're attacking what belongs to somebody else, himself. And that very basic principle that almost everybody accepts in their day-to-day life. I mean, even of a bunch of different religions, most of the time, most people agree, yeah, stealing is bad and attacking people is bad and all that stuff, but when it comes to government, they think there's an exception. And that's why I point out, not to be mean or put you on the spot, but everybody, including you and including me in the past, who believes in government, votes for millions of people to be forcibly extorted of what they earn in the name of the common good and services and whatever else. And that's not okay. And that is the belief that the tyrants just latch on to immediately and say, well, hey, if you believe government can tax, come vote me into power because I'll tax all the people you don't like and I'll pay for all the things you do like. It's just this giant trap that as soon as you step over the line and say, yeah, government's allowed to regulate and tax and pass laws, then why wouldn't you vote for some tyrant who says, okay, well, I'll tax all your neighbors for whatever you want? Like, why not do that? If that's legitimate, why not do that? And that's why I say the main thing that has to happen is for people to realize that is not legitimate, and we cannot get to peace or justice or prosperity as long as people believe that it's okay to use government to initiate violence against each other.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I mean that's one of the main points was when you in your book The Iron Web, where that excerpt from the YouTube video was put on, and you said, and I stated this earlier, that people, would never murder one another, but through state-sponsored murder, they feel like their hands are not bloody. In that.
Yeah,
and,
yeah, and that
right.
I agree with you. Yeah, absolutely.
And a lot of what you were saying was in line with a lot of what I would say, Jesus promoted. Like you said, those who are without sin cast the first stone. And
right, yeah, and that a lot of that excerpt, the character saying that in the book is actually a Christian.
Okay.
Even though I wrote the book, so it's sort of me. It's the schizo thing of when you write a novel and you say stuff by way of a character. But he refers a lot to Jesus, because Jesus was totally about, not only love your neighbors and love your friends, even love your enemy and turn the other cheek. And he was very much about tolerating, the whole, that he was without sin. Here's this was it a prostitute or somebody who had committed adultery? I forget which one. But they were like, she had done evil, let's stone her. And his whole attitude was, no, don't.
No,
yes, she did something wrong, go and sin no more, but don't be initiating violence against her. That's just the basics of how to be a human being. Do unto others as you would have done unto you. If people just applied that to their political life the way they do to their private life, first of all, they wouldn't vote anymore. Second of all, we wouldn't have war. We wouldn't have taxation. We wouldn't have all the ways in which government tries to violently control us in ways that normal people have no right to do. But people think there's an exemption from thou shalt not steal. They think there's an exemption from do unto others as you would have done unto you. I don't want people stealing my money for stuff I don't like, so I don't vote for others to steal their money for stuff they don't like, even if I think it's good for them.
Well, I'll tell you what. Yeah, no, look, you've been consistent throughout, which I have to commend you for.
No, and this is very thought-provoking
very
stuff,
thought-provoking.
and this is one of the reasons I wanted to have him on the show. And now I have a deeper understanding of where he's coming from, and it's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. I'm sure not one of the more popular beliefs. But,
well, it's getting more and more popular. I mean, I've been saying the same thing for 15 years, and 10 years ago I knew maybe 6 people who would openly agree with me. Now I know 6,000 or 7,000. And it's really, people think anarchy, and the word is all scary. And when people often ask me, well, so you're for overthrowing the government? No, I'm not. Because the government is not the problem. People imagining that it's legitimate is the problem. And when that gets fixed, you don't have to do anything to Washington. It's not that there aren't nasty people in Washington doing nasty, destructive, horrible things. But the underlying problem is that we pay for them to do that. Government doesn't make any wealth. It steals it from us. And the only reason we, meaning the country as a whole, the only reason we keep giving them money to do warmongering and rob people and butt into people's lives is because we've been taught that obedience is a virtue and you have to obey the law. And as much as people associate that idea with being good, the most dangerous thing in the world you can teach your kid is you have to obey the law. Because the vast majority of evil has been done in the name of law, not in spite of it.
All right, Mr. Larkin Rose, I want to thank you very much for your insights. I'll tell you what, you can now. Where can people find out more about you? LarkinRose.com is your website. You've got a YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, it's just youtube.com/LarkinRose, which is just LarkenRose, and there's a bunch of short videos there that have lots of fun discussions and arguments going on under them.
Tell us about your books. You got 3, right?
Actually, my own tale about my adventures with the IRS is finally out as an ebook. It was out of print for ages. So Kicking the Dragon you can now get as an ebook. But the one that the 3 that are in print as a real physical book you can actually hold in your hand are How to Be a Successful Tyrant, the Megalomaniac Manifesto, which is the first book I released, which is actually written as if it's a manual for aspiring tyrants. But of course, that's not really the point of it. It's to make Their victims understand how they do what they do. And then there was The Iron Web, which is a novel I wrote while in prison. And most of it's still fiction, but more and more of it has been coming true. That's what the audio clip is from.
Well, interesting. I'll tell you, a very compelling audio clip, and we played it on our program, and that's well done, by the way.
I mean, it was really fascinating, and I thought it was one of the better videos I've seen. And
again, you're consistent with your beliefs, and that I've got to commend you for. Mr. Rose, we're up against the top of the hour. I want to thank you very much for coming on our program and sharing with us your beliefs, your ideology, because I'll tell you what, I mean, you gotta open the door. You gotta open the door and open your mind at times.
Right.
Otherwise, you get pretty stale.
And nobody's gonna agree with everybody with everything. And we try to promote other people's opinions. And
and folks, I'm gonna tell you, visit larkinrose.com and check out his books and check out his YouTube. So,
and
seriously.
Mr. Rose, I haven't purchased your book, The Iron Web, but I plan on doing so. After hearing that excerpt from it, because I'm very interested. And
I want to thank you very much for being on our program tonight. But again,
it's been fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for tolerating me.
No, not a problem. It's been an enlightening experience for me. I'll tell you that. But we're up against really a hard break actually right now. So God bless you, my friend, and you have a good day. And again, thank you for coming on our program.
Thank you.
All right, my friend. Folks, you're listening to the Hagmann and Hagmann Report. I'm Doug Hagmann, and with me is Joe Hagmann. And we are broadcasting live tonight, the 18th day of September 2012. After the break, we're going to get into some important news articles, news items that I want to thank Linda, by the way, for sending this to me or sending some information to me. Of course, we're certainly not. We are certainly not. My heart skipped a beat there. Are we still connected?
Yeah, we're connected.
Okay.
I had to get him unconnected.
All right.
And try not to disconnect all of us at the same time.
Yeah.
Which is what we usually do.
Of course. No, that's what I do. Look, folks, I'm going to tell you something. We've got so much news to get into. And before the close of the program last night, and we got to get to the break here right away, but before the program last night, I mentioned about a potential of a loose nuclear weapon out there.
Yeah.
Or at least that's the information I've been getting.
We had to get into this tonight.
We're going to get into this a little bit because I don't know. I don't have a lot of information. I'll tell you what I do have after this break. Again, you're listening to the Hagmann and Hagmann Report. My name is Doug Hagmann. With me is Joe Hagmann. Visit our website, HomelandSecurityUS.com. That's HomelandSecurityUS.com. Right now, as a matter of fact, there's an article on there about the biggest fraud in history. Yeah, folks, stay tuned. We're going to be right back. Go ahead.
I was going to say I'll post the article
in
the chat.
We've got, do that. We've got just, okay, here we go. We got a lot. Hi, folks. Doug Hagmann here. You might know me as the co-host from the Hagmann and Hagmann Report, or as a frequent guest on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. If you're like me, you're tired and confused over today's headlines. You just don't know where to turn for accurate, concise information about really what's going on, what's truly going on in today's society. If you don't know where to turn for accurate, well-researched, and properly vetted news, I've got a suggestion. In fact, it's a requirement. Bookmark Canada Free Press. That's CanadaFreePress.com on the internet. It's just not for Canada. It's for news across the world. Judy McLeod, founding editor, has put together a vast array of talented writers like Kelly O'Connell, Daniel Greenfield, Dr. Eilena Johnson-Powell, a lot of guest columnists, very talented writers. Folks, that's Canada Free Press at CanadaFreePress.com. Now mobile friendly. Follow on Facebook, because without America, there is no free world.
If you're stumped, you don't know what kind of gift to give to a friend or a loved one, I'm telling you, you must go to 4physics.com. That's the numeral 4, PHYSICS.com. This is your one-stop shopping palace. That's the only way I can put it. I could spend easily an hour on this website. Innovative, fun, educational. There are games, books, weather instruments, unique time-telling devices, jewelry, optical devices, laboratory equipment. Let me give you an example. We all know we can tell time. With a sundial, you've seen those advertised. Did you know that you could tell time by the stars? At 4physics.com, You can buy a horologium nocturnum. This was a navigational device used in the 15th century by navigators at night to tell time by the stars. It's beautifully crafted in the shape of a pendant made of bronze and pewter or gold and silver. Absolutely a stunning gift. I would be proud to give it to anyone. You must go to 4physics.com. Even if you're not stumped, that's 4physics. That's the numeral 4, PHYSICS.com. It's your one-stop shopping palace. Any problems that you have, I don't know what to get Grandpa, I don't know what to get my loved one, that's unique, you will find it at 4physics.com. Please take my word for it. Go to the website, but give yourself a lot of time because you're not going to want to leave. 4physics.com.
Folks, you know me, of course, Doug Hagmann, host of the show. We have a new sponsor. It's mindregard.com. That's mindregard.com. And I personally do not sponsor or allowed to have sponsored anything I don't believe in personally. I mean, that goes for all of our sponsors. Freeze Dry Guy, 4physics.com. I believe in our sponsors. And I got to tell you something. Mindregard.com has a product out. It is a supplement. You know, with modern corrupted diets from genetically modified foods and pollution, we're not receiving the totality of proper nutrient support which our bodies require. And I've found myself many times, especially lately, being unable to really even articulate a coherent thought. This MindRegard, this product called Nootropic, has really done a great service for me. I mean, I'll tell you what, I take 2 tablets a day, and I found myself being a little bit more sharp. I don't know what's in this stuff, except it does have lion's mane, which is, along with other mutually supportive cognitive ingredients. But I'll tell you, it really has helped my cognitive ability. I've got a calming effect. It has a calming effect for me. And I've noticed too, and I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to say this, but my blood sugar levels, I have not changed my diet. I've not changed my exercise routine, but I've noticed that my blood sugar levels have been positively affected by something, and I would only associate with this. So, folks, go to mindregard.com. That's mindregard.com. Tell them Doug Hagmann sent you. Check out their product. Just try it for a month. And if you don't notice a difference, they'll give you your money back. But tell them Doug Hagmann sent you. I'm going to tell you something. You're going to thank me later.
Survival of the fittest. In any and all situations, survival is your number one priority. That requires being tough and thinking smart. And the folks at Freeze Dry Guy are going to help you do just that. They have the long-range patrol ration entrees, what they call the Brick Pack. When you're in survival mode, it is absolutely the best item for your survival pack or bug-out bag. You can go farther, faster, and carry more food with the LRP cold weather ration entrees. Not only do these long-lasting, durable entrees help sustain you or your family through the harshest environment or situation, they are by far the most delicious of their kind. No contest. With a variety of tasty entrees, you can't beat the LRP Brick Packs. Let Freeze Dry Guy help you in your survival situations. Go to freezedryguy.com. That's freezedryguy.com, or call 866-404-3663. That's 866.
Hold on to your seats. The Hagmann and Hagmann flight is now taking off. Doug and Joe Hagmann have cleared the runway of TSA agents, jihadists, political crackpots, and global elitists. Now get ready for some real news. Here they are, Doug and Joe Hagmann.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this Tuesday, September 18th edition of the Hagmann and Hagmann Report. This is hour number 2. First hour, we were joined by special guest Larkin Rose of larkinrose.com.
Interesting gentleman.
Yeah, very interesting gentleman. and it was an interesting first segment. Now we have a bunch of news we need to get into, some stuff we ended with last night, and we'll continue from there.
Yeah, I just want to mention to people, I've been getting reports, and I've talked to a couple of different people, those military sources. Okay, there are rumors out there, and we're trying to confirm these rumors of some sort of loose nuke or broken arrow, whatever you want to call it. Look, I don't know. I've got several emails from people I consider to be credible sources saying, look, we've got some sort of a problem. It involves a nuclear device. And the question was, is it a broken arrow scenario type thing? And yes. But beyond that wall, beyond anything more than that, I've gotten nothing. Okay, now I've gotten reports of nuclear, the nuclear search teams out in the desert Southwest. I don't know if they're practicing drills or what they're doing. I have tried a number of times today to, with my military sources, to follow through on this. Is it a rumor? I don't know. But look, would I be? I just feel I would be remiss in not mentioning this. Okay, I don't want to frighten anyone, obviously. But I mean, sure, it's a scary scenario. I mean, we can all be affected. But I want to just kind of point this out that this is a rumor or this is information out there, and I don't want to be. Look, everything we get, we'll give to you, as long as it is from credible sources, and this is where we're at. We've got this credible information, or information from credible sources, to credible sources about this. And again, folks, I can't confirm this. I've actually. You know, in the past, when I've had rumors like this, when I've been given information like this, people, my military sources would laugh or, say, "Come on, what are you smoking?" But now I've just been getting this wall of silence. Now, does that mean anything? No, not necessarily. I've asked others, and the information is pretty meager. Now, that said, I would be remiss, I believe in my heart, in not just telling you what the information I have. That's the only information I've got. We are trying to run the information down to get more accurate information on this. But again, I felt compelled to let you know last night. That's why I waited to the end of the program too. I didn't want to really talk about it, because what's there to talk about? It's speculation at this point, still speculation, unconfirmed at this point. And I would ask, alternatively, I would ask anyone with information about this that's listening to this in the military or has military contacts to certainly send me an email or contact me by telephone or via email, because I would like to find out and pass along to our listeners what is truly going on.
Folks, if you want to join the conversation, give us a call at 661-244-9839. That's 661-244-9839. We have a lot of headlines we're going to get into, but we're going to take some calls first. And just let me read you a few of the headlines. There's been military attacks at a base in Afghanistan that we talked about, where they say they were targeting Prince Harry, and
that was Camp Bastion?
Yeah, this was supposed to be one of the most secure camps in Afghanistan, and it's being reported that these attackers had U.S. military gear on, and we're still looking into exactly what happened there, but there is something terribly wrong with what happened. There were 2 Marines, or I think it even was a Navy SEAL that was killed in that attack, and these relations between Afghanistan and the Americans, we've been over there almost 10 years, 9 years. How many troops have died? How many civilians have died? We've been occupying this country, and now we see the Afghan police, the people we are trying to help.
We're training these people.
Training them, liberating them, bringing them democracy, whatever our government calls it. We now see that their own leadership, their own police force is turning against the Americans and killing them. Sometimes they're not always the police, they're just dressed in police uniforms, but there is a huge increase in attacks from Afghani soldiers or civilians on U.S. soldiers. Now, today, Russia has demanded that the United States end its support for democracy groups, saying that the U.S. needs to end its financial support for a wide range of pro-democracy, public health, and other civil society programs, and they are going to take an aggressive step by the Kremlin to halt what it views as an American meddling in international affairs. And it says the Kremlin's proactive decision to end 2 decades of work in post-Soviet Russia by the U.S. Agency for International Development with little warning ahead of October 1st. And it goes on to state that they're calling for the cut of aids of money going to these rebel forces that are promoting democracy. They're saying it is just proxy wars and trying to domestically control other countries and nations and their resources. And they are not off the mark in what they're saying. We are using, the CIA, other agencies. We are taking the rebels, the Al-Qaeda rebels, and moving them from one country to another to overthrow governments. We've seen the blowback that Ron Paul has always talked about from the attacks to the U.S. Embassy, which were coordinated despite what the White House says. And
by the way, the information we've been getting, and I know Glenn Beck had a little bit of this on his program tonight. I think it was tonight about Ambassador Stevens. His real mission there was actually in a CIA capacity. And, look, all the embassies are staffed by CIA personnel. I mean, it's no secret. But he was working on attempting to. It's believed, or the speculation is now, that he was actually involved in weapons work, that is retrieving them, the very weapons that we gave to the armed resistance that we are now fighting or now killed them. So that said, it's an interesting set of circumstances that we find. Nothing about the Ambassador Stevens' death and the death of those with him is true, as detailed by our own government. That we can say for certain.
We're going to move to the phone, and we see Jason has been on hold the longest, so we're going to go to you first. Jason, you're on the air with the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
Hey, Doug and Joe, God bless both of you. How are you doing?
Not bad, Jason. I know you wanted to come on earlier. We had to take care of some business, but what's up, my friend?
Well, first of all, I want to say that I'm sure that Mr. Rose, his intentions, I'm sure, are 100% legitimate, and he's passionate. I could tell by his voice. He's passionate, and he believes what he believes is right. Okay, that I want to preface my statement with that. We as believing Christians understand that man had an attempt to rule himself, and it was in the Garden of Eden. And guess what, guys? We screwed up.
Good point.
So we really do need somebody to lead us. We do, because since Adam and Eve, we messed up. It's just that simple. I wish we didn't, but we did.
True.
And I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I bumped the microphone and coughed. So.
Okay.
I didn't mean to get you off your stride, but no. You're right. You're right, Jason. I mean, look, we screwed up in the Garden of Eden, and we're paying the price now for it. I mean, we've got. But go ahead.
Well, my point is, he mentioned the IRS and all that stuff, and he's right about that. I mean, the IRS, we shouldn't have an IRS. Right. You know who created the IRS? The Federal Reserve. We shouldn't have a Federal Reserve because the Congress.
Jason, are you still with us? Are we still on?
Go ahead.
Yeah, you just cut out for like
there.
30 seconds or a significant length of time. So we missed what you were saying.
That's interesting.
Well, you said IRS and Federal Reserve, but go ahead.
Okay, okay. The IRS was created by the Federal Reserve.
Right.
Did you hear that?
Yep, got that.
Okay, and it was. Okay. Everything he said was true in terms of the IRS, and it's we shouldn't have an IRS. The Congress is supposed to determine how much our money's worth, and the issuance of currency. It's our Congress that should do that. In 1913, that was taken away from our country.
That's correct.
And put in foreign power. Okay? So
no,
we shouldn't have... Go ahead.
No, when you say foreign power, what do you mean? You mean the centralized banks, the global bankers? Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
okay.
The elite powers.
Right, okay. That's just so we're clear on who we're talking about. Okay.
Absolutely, yes. If we had a constitutional form of money, then none of the problems that he spoke of would, be in existence right now. The fact of the matter is that we have to pray to God to come back and fix all this, because that's the only answer, guys. And we have to pray that Jesus comes back to be our king, because if we don't get that, then it's all over.
Well, Jason, I mean, we're facing such tremendously stressful events and world-changing, earth-changing, life-changing events. I mean, look where we're at.
Yeah, one year from today, we might be in a completely different, uncharted waters where we've ever been. Right, a week.
Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, so the most important thing in our estimation, and I think we're in agreement on this, is that we've got to be spiritually grounded and spiritually on the right side of.
Amen.
Okay, so I mean that's what's really important to us. And once we become right with God, then I think that everything else kind of falls into place as we progress and grow in that spirit.
Well, Doug, can I just say this? I definitely felt that Mr. Rose was an anarchist, and I think most of the people in chat would agree with that. He believes that it's we just shouldn't have any leadership at all. It's just
well, yeah, and
anarchy.
Now, to be fair, Mr. Rose is not here to defend himself, so or to respond to that. But okay, that's fine. But yeah, No.
I don't want to attack him. I'm not attacking him, and that's why I said what I said in the beginning.
Sure.
I think everything that he's well intentioned. Absolutely, without a doubt, he's well intentioned, but he's not coming from a biblical standpoint of understanding that we had a chance to have no government. We had a chance to be with God forever, and we messed up. I mean, when I say we, I mean our genetics.
Right.
Adam and Eve, they messed up.
No, you're right. You're right, man. You're right.
We need restoration. We need restoration at this point, and that's what Jesus came to do. He died on that cross to restore the original relationship between Adam and Eve, humanity. That's what he did. When he died, when he shed his blood, he restored that relationship. And all we're doing, guys, and I'm sorry I'm taking so much time, but my spirit felt that I had to call you and tell you this. He restored that relationship, and we are just waiting for him to take his throne, which was promised to him by Gabriel the Archangel to Mary. Okay? We just have to wait, guys. And I love both of you guys, and I love your show, and God bless you. I'm going to get off because I know that there's a lot of people waiting to get on. So God bless you guys. I love you.
As always, we love you too, my friend. You take care, and God bless. Thanks for the call. Really.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, buddy.
Stay safe. And we're going to move right along here. Area code 304. You are on the line with the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
Thanks for your patience.
What?
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
No, we can. Yes.
Oh, well, the gentleman that just called in, he had a lot to say about the same thing I did. You know, the gentleman that you had on your show, the things about him was, you know, our country, you know, God himself said to render under Caesar what is Caesar's.
Interesting.
You know,
yes.
God is the Father. We are a family. You look at our country really should be a family. But the head of our country, the father of our country, talking about the government, you know, go back to our Constitution. You really shouldn't even be in our government, our state governments, if you're not a believer in God and don't have those backgrounds to yourself.
Now
that's a part of our Constitution.
I agree with that. You know, how can
the thing about that is, I'm sorry.
No, how can anyone lead? You know, you make a good point here. How can anyone lead another group of people, or the country even, without spiritual, divine guidance?
Well, see, that's the thing. The whole thing about it is there is two things that exist, and that is good and evil.
That's right.
The people of our country, as throughout the century, the decades, as we have voted people in, little by little, we have allowed those to be voted in that does carry these fundamental Christian beliefs. That is why our country is in the state that it's in. That's the bottom line, is because of the people that are here. And I'm one of these people that are here. And I'm just talking about the history of our country. But it's the faith that we have in God that has left this country through the people that we voted in. You're not going to get something good out of something evil. It's not going to happen. God himself said that Satan can appear to us as an angel of light. You know, and I hate about the gentleman that called in that you had on your program for so long, because look at him himself. He is and I'm not bashing him, because he had a lot of great points, really did. But the truth about it is, to me, is he himself once was a Christian.
Yes.
Believed the very things that we're saying. Now, he has taken it upon himself to turn from that. And I pray for this man that he'll come back.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, man, we
because
have to.
He is lost the same way that our government is. They have ran from God. The answer is not to run from God. It's to turn to him.
Yeah.
You know, Doug, you asked him several times about what the state of the country and what it's in, and he never did answer your question. And I could tell you was flustered because he never did answer that question. He kept going back to the things that, you know, getting away from taxes and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well,
all of that's irrelevant. I'm sorry, all of that is irrelevant at our state and our country and where we're at.
I got to tell you,
we have to turn to God.
Yeah, I got to tell you, caller and ladies and gentlemen, my talk show host manual, you know, doesn't doesn't tell me how to handle stuff like that. So I'm just kidding. I'm being facetious here. Yeah, you know, look. Yeah, I get frustrated because you're right. I mean, you have some very good observations here, but you bring up a very good point. We have strayed from God, and the further down the road, and the further we stray, the more corrupt we become. Isn't that the way it is? I mean, isn't that true?
It's exactly the way it is. Because, you know, I'm a simple-minded person, and I stay that way on purpose. We all would get two things, and that is good and evil. Treating somebody the way you're supposed to treat them is a good thing. We shouldn't be rewarded if we treat somebody good because we're supposed to treat them good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Our country has gotten to a place where if you do something good for somebody, well, now you're this great person. Well, wait a second. You're supposed to be good to one another.
Of course, yeah.
You know what I mean? Things have been turned around so much that it's scary. But the bottom line is, the world's coming to an end. I'm sorry, but the truth is the truth. And I'm really not sorry about it. You know, and people, it's not that they need to be afraid.
No.
Because we serve a God that said he is the same yesterday, today, and forever. He loves us. We are his children. And he is going to come and get us.
Yes.
Yep. I believe that we're going to be here, and I believe we're going to go through a lot of things. I don't think that we're just going to be vanished out of here, and, you know, I'm not trying to start something there, but I believe what I believe.
Well, and that's fine. But you're right. Look, I think right now the important thing for everyone to understand is events are moving so quickly. and we're trying to make sense of the events. But the only way to really make sense of the events, in my opinion, is to look at the events through, through the Bible and through the words of God. I mean, that's without that, what do we have? We've got a lot of men.
We don't have anything.
Right.
Gentlemen, I appreciate you letting me come on, but the call that you had on was on for an hour there. I was like Joe, as I was listening, your son. I was saying, well, this gentleman has left something. I knew when Joe asked him that question about his religious beliefs, I already knew the answer. The same way I feel that Joe felt in spirit.
Right.
Because he does know. He lets us know, but it's not that gentleman can't be saved. He sure can be, and I pray that he does. But I just don't want anybody to lose hope and lose faith in God, because this thing is all going to come to an end. Everything's happening daily. I mean, I listen to you guys every night, and I love your show. I love you guys and pray for you.
Even
I'm telling you,
still, you still okay?
Absolutely.
All right.
It's I appreciate you all letting me call in. Thank you very much.
No, look, it's a caller-driven show, and I'll tell you something. People need an outlet. People need to be able to ask questions and get answers where there are answers to be given. And we need that round-table discourse, that interaction with one another. That's what makes, in my view, that's what makes the show decent. Because if it was just us, okay. So anyway, but look, thanks for your call. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, God bless you.
No problem. Thank you.
And I just want to say this before we take the next call. It's been brought to my attention. I've talked with a close friend of the show and my father, and we've talked about the time as the urgency to get things in order, to get right with God, to get our spiritual preparedness, our mental, physical, and our house in order. As time seems to be winding down, we have to step up the level of our faith, our
That's
devotion, right. and the level of the way we are as people. We are still a flawed people. Even the best of us are sinners, and we need to get to a new level to be like Jesus was on earth. And I want to read this scripture. This is 2 Timothy verse 19. And it says, "Nevertheless, the foundation of God standeth sure, having his seal. The Lord knoweth them that are his, and let everyone that nameth the name of Christ depart from iniquity. But in a great house there is not only vessels of gold and of silver, but also of wood and of earth, and of some to honor and some to dishonor. If a man therefore purge himself of these, he shall be a vessel unto honor, sanctified and meet for the master's use, and prepared unto every good work. Flee also youthful lust, but follow righteousness, faith, charity, peace, with them that call on the Lord out of a pure heart. But foolishness and unlearned questions avoid, knowing that they do gender strife. And the servant of the Lord must not strife, but be gentle unto all men, apt to teach, patient, in meekness, instructing those that oppose themselves, if God peradventure will give them repentance to the acknowledgement of truth, and that they may recover themselves out of the snare of the devil, who are taken captive by him at his will." And what I'm getting out of this is we must, we have to have the moral high ground. We have to be the better person. And Henry Groover said this in one of his videos, the holding on to other people's sin. I think he called it the remitting sins.
Yeah, that struck me as being
okay. I'm guilty of this. I see what Obama's doing to the country. I see what Ben Bernanke and the people behind the curtains, what they're doing to the country. And we look at this, and if you're like me, you look at this with anger. I am angry at President Obama, and I am angry at these people who are making these decisions that are ruining lives, thousands, and they're ready to ruin billions of lives. But we have to be better. We have to still pray for them. We have to forgive them of their sins. When Jesus was being crucified on the cross, I think he stated, Father, forgive them for their sins, for they know not what they do. We have to have that same attitude, that same meekness. Even though we know they're wrong, we have to be forgiving. And we have to remember to do that because it is an essential part of our spiritual health. If we are carrying around all this hatred and anger towards these people for what they're doing, we are not spiritually healthy. And I know it sounds, hard. It's so much easier said than done. And this is something I'm going to need a lot of work on because, as I see these things, like sometimes I'll see Obama give a press conference and I'll want to slap him, just because of the hypocrisy, the lies, the destruction he's bringing to this nation. At the same time, I have to remind myself that I'm a man of God. I want to keep to those standards, those principles, those laws. And those laws tell me I need to be forgiving. I need to, no matter under any circumstances, I need to be loving, compassionate, and do the right thing no matter what. And I just am making a call and a plea to everybody out there to try to, just take notice of the way our emotions get, when we read certain things or hear certain stories, and try to take those negative emotions and remind ourselves that nobody's perfect, but in order for us to remain righteous, we need to forgive these people as much as it pains us.
Yeah, and I think the most difficult thing to do is to forgive someone you dislike. I mean, you know what that's like. Someone wrongs you, or if you think about forgiving the TSA agents or forgiving the government officials who wrong you. Wow, that's a really big, tall order, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And
I got to tell you, man.
Would the Lord expect anything less?
But one thing that I've had the opportunity to do is be with victims and victims' families, murder victims' families a couple of times, and I never really got that whole thing. Boy, I forgive the guy that killed my daughter, or I forgive the guy who killed my wife. I never really got that. I never got it. I just and I'm still not sure I get that. But yeah, we're commanded to forgive. And I think that if we don't we carry around a little bit, isn't that like allowing someone else to guide you and pollute your spirit in a way? It's difficult to do, but I think we have to forgive. We have to let go. And it's not something I'm really comfortable talking about because it's a personal thing.
Yeah.
But if we're to face the times, if we're to face what's coming down the pike here, and I know that we're gonna have bad times. Look, the marshal. I've been getting emails from people saying, you know what, my husband or my son, they're saying, the military is preparing to implement martial law. It's going to happen within a year. Hey, it could happen within a month. Who knows? But when we're faced with all of this, are we really spiritually prepared? And what is the extent of that preparation? And that the extent of that preparation is more than just saying, yeah, I'm ready. No. You really got to be ready. You really got to let loose of all the baggage that you've got. And you're right. So that's a good passage. And Henry Gruver, I listened to that a couple of times, folks. I would really urge you to listen to that broadcast more than once because there's a lot in there.
Yeah, that's up on our Team K9 YouTube channel. You can find it on Blog Talk Archives, Blog Talk Radio Archives. You can find it on iTunes. You can subscribe to our podcast through iTunes, or visit our Team K9 YouTube channel or Facebook or Twitter, and the video is posted on YouTube, and you can find it through Facebook or Twitter. But that was such a great interview. And I have I don't think we mentioned this at the beginning of the show. A week from today, from 8 to 10, we will be joined with special guest Greg Evenson for the 2 hours.
For the entire 2 hours, Greg Evenson, a week from today.
And possibly Ann Barnhart tomorrow.
Yeah, we're working on that. If not tomorrow, then certainly the following Wednesday. I'm not sure. We know that Wednesdays are days, so I'm not sure what what we're going to do there. But tomorrow, hopefully,
Yeah.
you're right.
I'm just waiting on a confirmation. She said she'd come on. I'm just waiting on a confirmation whether it'll be tomorrow or the next week. So we can look forward to that. And we'll go back to the phone now. Since we got a couple people on
and
hold.
Thanks for holding, people, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for your patience.
We got about 12 minutes left. We got about 4 callers wanting to come on. So if we can try to keep it brief, we are going to go to Vernon and then to John. Let's start. Vernon, you're on air with the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
Great. Good evening, everyone. God bless. And like I said, I'm going to try to keep it brief, very brief. Jason, all you gentlemen had a good point, and Mr. Rose had a very interesting thesis, so to speak. I have to say this, we are no longer, as believers in Christ, under the law. We're under grace, number one. And, we have, in terms of what Mr. Rose, let me deal with that first. In terms of what Mr. Rose was saying, we have to have some kind of order. There has to be some rule of law. Now, as far as the, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's and render unto God what is God, this country was built, our forefathers allegedly were God-fearing men, right, and allegedly built this country under God, okay? And we started going straight. The day that they took the Bibles out of the school system, this system started to fall apart. From that point, we started to take God out of the system. Now, in terms of Caesar, the Federal Reserve is not Caesar. The banking cartel is not Caesar. Okay, these are private entities, very much like when Christ walked into the temple and kicked them out the temple because my Father's house is a house of prayer. Those same entities have also now moved in and stole Caesar's palace, so to speak. So we're not paying to Caesar. We're paying to the band of thieves, if that makes sense.
Yeah, actually, you're right. I mean, and as we said before, the only time Jesus that was really got angry, is when he chased the money changers from the temple. So you're saying we're paying the money changers, basically. Is that right?
Exactly. That's exactly who we're paying. We're not paying Caesar. We're paying those same thieves that Christ kicked out the temple.
Good point.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, I just have another quick point, and then I'm done. Us believers, okay, we have to understand, and this is going out to the non-believers as well. There's nothing different about me than you to the non-believer. There's nothing different about me other than the fact I accept the Lord Jesus Christ as my Lord and personal Savior, and I'm covered under His blood. If that makes sense to you. Mm-hmm. We're all sinners, for all have come short of the glory of God. We all have sinned and came short of the glory of God. And our sins are like that of filthy rags before God. And the only thing that makes me different is that I am covered by the blood of Jesus, and I chasten after that those things that are of God and not of this world. Mm-hmm. And those are the two messages I had to put out there.
Beautiful messages, my friend.
Thanks for your call, Vernon. We're going to let you go and move on with the short time we got left.
God bless you.
We'll talk to you later. God bless. All right. We're going to go to John. You are on the air with the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
God taught His people to pray. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Joe, you work hard at it, and I will draw strength from your work. Because I need to work at it too.
Well, thanks, John.
Don't we all, man?
And Doug, I could tell that you were your patience was wearing thin. You handled the guest with grace, as always. I'm not going to comment on anything that he said because I think he spoke well enough for himself.
I think so.
With that, I'm going to let you guys go and get some more callers. God bless.
Thanks,
John, God bless you, and thank you for that reading that passage out of the prayer, the Father's Prayer, the Lord's Prayer.
Yeah, I knew you were digging for that, right?
It just slipped my mind. We're gonna go. We have a unknown caller. You're on the line with the Hagmann and Hagmann report.
Yeah, hi, Doug and Joe. This is Lori. I was just wanted to make a quick comment on that about the forgiveness and all, and that's put out as a blanket statement. I just want to read two verses out of Luke, and this is Christ himself speaking. He says, "Take heed to yourself. If thy brother trespass against thee, rebuke him, and if he repent, forgive him. And if he trespass against thee 7 times in a day, turning again," it says, and saying, "I repent." The Lord does not forgive unless you repent of your sin, and I don't believe that we are supposed to just blanket forgive anybody and everybody. So we need to take that in totality, I think. Thanks for your show, by the way.
Well, thank you. Okay, I'm not sure. Caller, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
Yeah, what he said was.
Just hold on for a second. Go ahead.
What you were saying, caller? What scripture were you quoting?
It's Luke 17:3 and 17:4, and it's Christ speaking.
Okay.
And it's a conditional. You don't just forgive no matter what. It says if he repents. The Lord forgives us if and when we repent. He doesn't just forgive everybody everything. If he did, everybody go to heaven and all that. It's we repent.
Right.
And so we're trying to make ourselves better than the Lord if we just forgive, just to forgive. And the Lord told us it's conditional if they repent.
Okay, but I think what we were referring to, caller, is the fact that, like you know how we as people harbor like resentment and these negative emotions and the negative feelings against people, and we can't let go of, like, if we get wronged by someone, we just can't let go of that. Right. Sometimes
we let our emotions get the best of us when our compassion and love and understanding and relationship with the Lord should guide all our emotions and decisions and feelings from there. I think we let our human side get much of that.
But yeah, but the scripture that you quote, 17, Luke 17:3 and 4 and so on. I mean, I understand that, but don't you think though it's better to forgive that rather than walk around with a real kind of.
Well, sure, because then you start getting into having a bitter root in your heart. So yeah, there's a fine line, but between and what Joe was quoting earlier, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. They didn't even know what they were doing. But yes, I see your point is, yes, otherwise you have a root of bitterness, and that's not good either. So yeah. I just wanted to point that out for some balance, though.
Well, very much appreciate that. Thank you very, very much for that call.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, and God bless you.
It's interesting to really, when you get into the discussion about the Bible and prophecies, whether it's prophecy or whether it's scripture, any part of it, it's really interesting to get into it. But look, I think the time is short, and I know people who are having dreams, and if you want to call them visions. Rick Wiles, for example, he was unable to sleep last night. He didn't get to bed until 4:30, or get to sleep until about 4:30. He had a very restless spirit in his heart. We're talking to more and more Christians, watchmen who are having this feeling. And I got to tell you, everyone I've been talking to is in the same position. So, I think that we're commanded, or at least I don't know. At least I feel the need to kind of clean up my insides, if you will, and get right with God, and I think that aids in discernment as well. When you're not colored by ego or not colored by bitterness or whatever, I think that's very important. So,
yeah, it is.
And with these headlines we're facing, folks, my goodness.
We've got Chinese generals saying, prepare for combat with Japan.
Yes.
Top Chinese general in unusual move tells troops to ready for combat with Japan. We have the slowing economy, inflation, and grim job scenario threaten to take the wind out of consumer business. This article from the Economic Times talks about the consumption, the strongest theme of the Indian growth story as ever macroeconomic conditions deteriorated over the past few quarters. But the point of this is we are, and not we, but the government actions through the Federal Reserve and the fascism that is going on.
90 seconds.
Is leading to the destruction of all business, free market, capitalism.
That's right.
It's going to lead to hyperinflation, and there will be no economy growth. And
no growth. There's not going to be an economy left after this. And folks, we got to tell you this too. The latest, with the Egyptian issuing arrest warrants for Florida Pastor Terry Jones. I'm not sure if you folks heard about that.
Also,
but that's a slap against the first.
60 seconds.
I did not hear about that. We'll get into more on that tomorrow.
Indeed.
Also,
we're going to be back on the road. We're going to be back on the tracks tomorrow.
Department of Homeland Security bought another 200 million rounds of ammunition. That came out today in the news. I suggest everybody go find that article and check that out. And we will talk about that tomorrow as well. But we're going to end the show with only a few seconds left.
I want to thank you for your patience.
Thank you to our guest, Larkin Rose, for coming on and sharing his beliefs and telling us what his story is. And his book, The Iron Web, is something I'm planning on getting. But thank you, Mr. Rose. And God bless all the listeners who tune into the Hagmann Report and those listening on archive. We thank
10 seconds.
Financial, prayer, sharing the word about the show. God bless you all. You have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, we're just doing our best, folks, to bring you the news. God bless.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.